Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this TradeStation Getting Started. It's a pleasure to be here to talk a little bit about TradeStation's technology. For those that are joining us for the first time, my name is Jesus Nava. I am the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. I've done this for some few years, and I'm going to provide you some tips and best practices on OptionStation Pro, so that you can get a good handle on the TradeStation trading technology. And that way you can focus on your trade analysis and your trade placement. So the title of this presentation is Strategize Options Trading with OptionStation Pro. So yes, we are going to focus on this utility, trading options, equity options mainly. Before we get started, the usual disclosures, just keep in mind that every symbol and idea that we talk about is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, active trading is not suitable for everyone. Keep that in mind. There are risks, and we should only be trading with risk capital. Past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. And if anybody needs additional information on these disclosures, go to tradestation.com/important-information. Right? Let's go ahead and jump over to our platform. Here it is. OptionStation Pro is integrated into the TradeStation desktop. So in order for you to launch OptionStation Pro, you're going to need to open up TradeStation. As you can see right here in the apps menu, OptionStation Pro is one of those buttons, and I'm just going to click on it, and it'll launch OptionStation Pro for you. So this is an introductory class on OptionStation Pro. We're going to show you some of the settings and some of the things you can do on the platform. And at the same time, if you guys have any questions on OptionStation Pro, please feel free to send those questions right here in the chat, glancing at the chat once in a while to make sure that we keep the class interactive and that I'm answering all of your questions, okay? Oh, by the way, before I even continue, I'm not sure if you guys have received an invitation to masterclass. Let me go ahead and bring that up here on my screen. And I'll also share the link. Let me just copy this link right here on the top. There we go. Okay. I'm going to copy that link from the top and I'm going to share it with everyone here in the chat. But Masterclass is an in-person event that is coming up September 29th, and it's going to be in Chicago, Illinois. If you haven't heard about this, please click on the link that I just shared right there in the chat. It is a one-day event where we've lined up great speakers that are professionals in trading, and they're going to share their option strategies with us. Oh, by the way, here's a coupon offer code. It's options 100. During registration, if you use that offer code, you'll get $100 discount towards your registration fee. Not only that, but if you stay with TradeStation after that, then you'll also get a rebate, a commission rebate. So whatever you spent on your registration ticket will be credited back to you based on commissions that you generate. Make sure that you look at this event, see if it's something that you'd like to attend. It's very fast approaching, so there's only a couple weeks left to do some planning, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of our masterclass. Perfect. Let's go back here to OptionStation Pro. Every time that you guys open up OptionStation Pro, it's going to be in a particular tab. In fact, OptionStation Pro remembers where you were last time on the platform, and it'll open it right where you left it. Right now, it sent me to the graph because that's what I was looking at when I was using OptionStation Pro last time, but I can switch to a different tab by just clicking on the tab right here at the bottom. There's 4 views inside of OptionStation Pro. The options chain is going to be in the options tab, so make sure that you click it. Okay, right here on the top, I have information on the underline. Let me go ahead and drop this little divider a little bit. You can see that I have NVIDIA loaded in my OptionStation Pro. I see the last traded price is 177.54. And one of the things that I can see about NVIDIA is historical volatility. This is today's volume, 65 million shares traded. But historical volatility just lets you know how volatile this security has been in the past 30 days. I say 30 days because I think that's the default, but you can change how far back you want this historical volatility calculation to use in its value. You go here to the settings menu right here on the far right, and in the general tab, which we've changed to common. In common, yeah, you have the field here for historical volatility bars back. So if you want a measure of volatility that includes more historical data, you're welcome to edit this. If you want your historical volatility calculation to be more sensitive to what's happening recently, you can limit that maybe to 15, and you can see how this number changes. Right now it's showing 25. Sometimes it doesn't, because sometimes the volatility calculation is the same, but you notice how it dropped a little bit to 24.85. So depending on how much data you're giving the historical volatility setting, of course, that number is going to change, because volatility, again, is based on how far back in history you are looking. And I think it changed my number to 20. I think that's a minimum you can set it to. Okay, let me go ahead and go back here. You have some drop downs right here on the top. It allows you to organize your options. You have a spread selector that pretty much allows you to build spreads automatically. You see all the strikes that make up that spread. Right now I have iron condors, so you can see that it's made up of 4 different strikes. And in this particular case, I have the 170, the 175, the 180, and the 185 visible or listed here. If you wanted to increase the width between those strikes, you can definitely do. And the way to do that is using the filter dropdown. And there's a setting here called the spread width. Right now it's set to 2. So it's going to skip a strike price in between. That is why I see the 170, 175. I don't see the 170, 172.5, because it's skipping that strike price in between. If you go a little bit further, let's say that we want to do 4 strikes and apply it, you can see how the strikes here now go from 165 to 170, 175 to 180, and it skips those strikes in between. Just something to keep in mind. It automatically organizes your strikes based on the spread width. However, you can also select the legs individually. I know a lot of you would rather do that because you are specifically choosing the leg you want. So for example, if I go back here to my single selection, single allows you to do this multiple selection. Of course, you can click on the bid or ask of any of these calls or puts. By the way, calls are on the left, puts are on the right. This is pretty standard across all options trading platforms. But if I click on the bid or the ask of any of these, it'll highlight the row. If I click on the asking price, it'll assume that I want to buy it. So notice how it colors the row in red. If I click on the bid instead, it'll color the row red, because it assumes that I'm going to sell that option. Very simple. So notice that one single click, it just takes one click on any price here, and you can see that it just switches the highlight for you. Okay, either buy or sell. Of course, you can change that direction down here, so you're not stuck really in a buy transaction if you click on the bid. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. But if you wanted to do a multiple selection, all you need to do is hold down the control key. So when you click the first one, I've done that already. I clicked on the asking price of the 170. If I hold down the control key and I click on the bid price of the 175, you can see that it adds another highlight, and it's added to my composition. It's added to my leg. You can see that now I'm running or using a vertical. If I continue to do that, if I do it on the other side, let's say that I buy the 185 and sell the 190. Actually, that was supposed to be backwards. Let me go ahead and remove the leg. You can right click on any selection you make. If you make a mistake, it's very easy to remove. So I'm going to sell the 185 and I'm going to buy the 190. Sorry, my computer is running a little bit slow. And now you can see that in my trade bar, which pops up from the bottom, it's convenient. It recognizes my selection as an iron condor. So yes, you can do the selection with a spread drop down, or you can manually select the legs you want. Once the legs are selected, you can click and drag to any other position. So if I want these verticals to be a little bit more, or the spread to be wider, I just click here and I'm going to drop it on maybe 166. If I click on this other leg here, I can drop it here on the 195. So clicking and dragging also works really well when you're wanting to separate the legs a little bit further. Okay. One of the things that I also like about OptionStation Pro is that you get a visual of the profitability of this strategy. What we're trying to do is we're trying to stay within the green area. Notice that in the strike column, it tells you that if the strike of NVIDIA drops beyond a particular number, that's between 170 and 172.5, you start losing money. But if it goes up beyond 187.5 and 190, notice that it's somewhere in between, then it also starts losing money. So what you want the price of NVIDIA to do is to stay somewhere in between 172 and 187. That's where the profitability is. And the visual that you see right there in the strike helps you see that without going to a graph analysis or any other type of numbers. You can have the colors tell you where the price needs to go in order for you to be profitable on this particular strategy. If I wanted to place this multi-leg spread, all I need to do is come here to the trade bar. Notice these buttons down here, they tell you what the mid price is, or the natural would mean whatever the iron condor is trading at this moment. That's a natural price. The mid price is somewhere in between the bid and the ask. So it does look at the bid and the ask of every single leg, determines the midpoint of each one of those legs, and then adds them all together, the selling transactions and the buying transactions, and it gives you a real-time price. Let's say, for example, that I want to improve my entry price by a few pennies. So I'm going to say that I want to enter this spread at $16. All right. If you look over here on the right, we have a maximum profit of 300 and a maximum loss of 700. So you do get a feeling of how much your spread is going to cost you. And as I drag these legs, let me bring back them to 170 and 190 as I had them before. You can see that it affects the maximum profit and the maximum loss. If at any point you want to maybe reduce the risk, maybe you were not happy with the maximum loss that it was showing. It was a negative 700, sizable loss. Now, if I move the legs around, I can automatically see what the maximum risk is on this particular spread. You can see the pricing also changes. I'm not paying $16 per share. I'm paying $7. So it is a cheaper or more affordable trade than doing the other spread that I was looking at. So let's say, for example, that I want to buy this, but let's say that I want to buy this at $7.80. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative, and I'll show you how you can modify that order once you send it. Okay, so I want to get filled at 780, and let me go ahead and place that trade. Okay, the order sent and received. I can see the confirmation down here. So if you look at the very bottom of your OptionStation Pro, it tells you the status of your order, and you can see that the order has been received. It's been received by the market maker, and it's already in the books. So if somebody is able to sell you that spread for $7.80, you'll get filled. Now, let's say, for example, that the market moves away from your entry and you want to make adjustments to the order. You want to say, let me go ahead and adjust the entry price so that I can have better chances of getting filled. From there, we can go to the Manage tab. In the Manage tab, you get two things. The box at the top is all about the orders, and the box below is all about your positions. But you can see that in the positions panel, not only it gives you your positions on NVIDIA, it also gives you access to all your equities positions so that you can monitor those positions in a consolidated way. So let's go over here to the top. You can see that in my receive row, I have the iron condor that I just submitted. You can see that this is the iron condor that I wanted to get filled at $7.80. But you can see the real-time pricing over here on the right, and you can see that I'm not really far away, but the mid price is $7.90, which is not really a price that I can get right now because it's the midpoint. The natural price is the actual price that the spread it's trading at. So let's say I want to improve my chances of getting filled. I'd have to modify my limit price. Oh, by the way, here on the left, you have a little plus that allows you to expand the view if you want to see the details of each one of those legs. But I can right click on that row, just right click on the row, and you can do a cancel replace. The trade bar will pop up from the bottom one more time. And all you need to do is probably click on the natural button and then place the order and say yes. So I changed the order. You can see right here at the top that my limit price is $8.05. Okay. Sometimes if you're in a trading simulator, the trading simulator tries to mimic trading behavior as closely as it can, but sometimes it doesn't. So just be aware of that. And that's just the nature of simulator. Sometimes you get in, sometimes you don't. Let's go ahead and I have to, it's trading at 805, 810. Let me drop my price a little bit more. $8. Place the order. Actually, I wanted to go the other direction. Cancel, replace. I just want to make sure that I get filled. So I went the opposite direction. I'm going to go here to 815 and place the order filled. So I do get filled. You can see that at the very top, I'm not in the received section anymore. I'm actually in the filled section. The color also tells me that I've been filled. Anytime you see a blue row, that's a filled order. And you can see that I wanted 815, I got 810. So it did get me a better price than what I wanted. By changing my order to 815, I made my limit order sort of a marketable order. So it filled me at whatever the market price was at that moment, which is $8.10. All right. If I come down here and I open up NVIDIA, which is right there, I just open it up. You can see that I have my 4 legs. One of the things that TradeStation does is that when the trade returns to you, it's returned in individual legs, as you can see them here. But I can either monitor P&L of each one of the legs individually, which I can see right here on the right, or I can combine them into an iron condor. Combining them into an iron condor is something that's straightforward and easy. You just have to click the legs and drop them onto each other. And that way you'll combine them. So if I take, it doesn't matter which one you click first or which way you drop them first, as long as you drop them on top of each other, they'll be combined into an iron condor. So I can take this put and drag it on top of the call, and then take this call and drop it on that custom. And then I take this put and then I click and drag and drop it in there. And once you have them all dropped onto each other, you can see that it recognizes the iron condor. I can see that I'm losing about $15. When it adds up all the P&Ls of each one of the individual legs, then I'm losing that amount, $15 as we speak. Does that make sense? It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty cool that you can make these modifications, because if I open up NVIDIA and I wanted to, let's see, if I wanted to combine, let me just reset this position. I can right click on the iron condor and I can click on reset. So I'm back on square one where I have individual legs. But if I wanted to put the puts together and I wanted to put the calls together, notice that now I have 2 verticals, the 2 verticals that make up the iron condor. But yes, you can split them into 2. You can get out of individual legs. You can do pretty much anything to your position and trade it in any possible way. Let me take one of these verticals and drop them on top of the other. We're back on the iron condor. Let's suppose that, let me analyze this position first. Notice that there's an analysis tab down here. If I go to analysis, of course, analysis is going to help you analyze the trade that you're in, or analyze an order before you place a trade, just to see what are the probabilities of that position making any money, where the price needs to go, and so forth. So I opted for this expiration, which is November 21st of 2025. I didn't really pay attention to expiration, but if you go back here to options, yeah, you have expirations here on the left-hand side. I should have paid attention to the expiration, but I was focused on placing the trade and giving you that example. But if you collapse any of these expirations, you see all of them all the way forward, and you see the leaps options there. And inside parentheses, you see the number of days until expiration. Now, I said November. Yeah, that's the one that I was trading. No, it wasn't November. It was September, right? Yeah, that's the one that I traded, September. Let me go back here to analysis. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is just a simulated trade. It's not really the trade that I just had. Because that's another thing that I wanted to tell you, that in the analysis tab, you can analyze simulated trades and you can analyze real trades. In this case, my real trade is right here on the top. If I click on the plus here on the left-hand side, this is my iron condor, not the one that is below. This iron condor that I see below is just a simulation. Here on the far where it says show all, you can select what is it that you want to see. Do you want to see simulations or do you want to see your real positions? If you click on positions, notice that I'm left just with my iron condor and I don't see that other one that was there. So that the one that was there that had an expiration in November, that was just simulated. The one that I got in right now is the one that expires September 19th, 9 days from today. So let's take a look at this graph. Notice that I don't see anything here because the iron condor is not checked. Anything you have checked here on the left-hand side is going to be represented here on the top. All right. So here's the iron condor. The current price of NVIDIA can be represented here with these yellow lines. The yellow lines in the graph are these price slices that are here in the middle. I don't think OptionStation Pro gives you price slices as a default, but I'm going to remove it. And you can see that right there in the middle, it says click on the add or pinned to add slices. I can click on add or I can click on pinned. So if I want to show the last traded price of NVIDIA, I just click on add and notice that it adds that line, that vertical line at 177.46, which updates in real time. And it gives me a view of where the current price is in relationship to my spread. My spread is represented by those lines. You can see the blue line is what the value of the option is at expiration. And you can see that the most profit or the maximum profit is achieved at expiration. The maximum profit of this spread is $190. You can lose $310, but that's only if the price were to drop to where this level. So if it drops below 170 or if it increases above 190. We saw that in the option chain, that this option spread loses money if the price goes beyond certain levels in both directions. We want the price to stay here within this cone, and you can set prices there if you want to. Of course, you also see the break even. The break even is when those lines cross zero. Zero is right there. You make profits above zero. You have losses under zero. One thing that I like to do is play with the other two lines. The other two lines are the value of the spread at different dates until the expiration. The white one, the one that we're looking at right now, that's the valuation right now. And you can see that as of now, this particular spread is losing money because it's below the zero dash line. In fact, if you look over here at the bottom, you can see the theoretical P&L. I'm losing about $17 as we speak. So if I wanted to be in the profitability area, I would probably need to wait until a few days to see what the profitability would be. Maybe today it'll become profitable if the market moves to a certain extent or volatility changes. Anything can happen to this spread, but you have a view. You can analyze where your profitability may be. If I wanted to set some sort of a stop loss or a profit target, let's say that if the price goes beyond any of these two levels, I want to get out. So I want to set that as my rule. If it goes beyond somewhere around 186, or if it drops below 172, I want to get out. But at the same time, I want to see what the profitability would be if it goes to a certain price or if it keeps being or trading at 177 in a few days. We already know that this spread is expiring in 9 days. How do we know? I saw it somewhere, and I'm not sure where I saw it, but let's see if I can drop this. Okay, I don't remember where I saw it, but this is expiring soon. What I'm going to do is come over here to the settings, and I'm going to click on graph, because the graph allows you to play around with the other two lines. You can see that the white is this one. It's set all the way to the left-hand side, which is now. And the blue line is set all the way here to the right-hand side because that's expiration. Notice if I were to drag this, you see the blue line changing as I drag it. You see that? Okay, so those are the two lines. Usually we want to see what the value of the option is right now and what the option value would be at expiration. The green line, which is the one that shows a little bit of profit, is a future date. So in this case, I'm looking at the legend right here on the top right corner, and you can see that the green line is September 14th. So today is September 10th. So we're talking about September 14th would be Sunday, which is not a trading day, but we can say, let's push that a little bit further to September 16th. So September 16th, I went a little bit too far. There we go. September 16th is a Tuesday, and maybe that's my holding period. I'm going to say, I'm going to hold this spread until Tuesday and see what the profitability would be. I'm going to close this out. You can see that the green line changes, but now I can say, change the plot to, notice that you have the ability to change the calculations on any of these lines. Right now it's set to the white line, which is plot number 1. If you set it to plot number 2, it'll do, the expiration. This is at expiration. My theoretical value is 190, which is the maximum profit. All if NVIDIA stays at 177.48. But if I go to this drop down, I can set it to plot number 3, which is my green line. Notice that now the calculation changes. I am not making the full 190, which is the maximum profit, but I'm making $85 if I hold it until Tuesday and if NVIDIA is trading at 177. If it were to go up, I can say, what if it goes to 180? I just type the price in there. Notice how the yellow line shifted, and you can see that theoretical P&L is 100. So if it stays right in the middle of that graph, meaning that it goes up a little bit to 180, I'm able to capture $100 on this particular spread. Interesting how you're able to study and analyze every spread to see where the profitability is. Of course, this would be September 16th, on Tuesday, that we are projecting this probability. Again, anything can happen. On Tuesday, the prices may change, volatility may change, and this all goes to trash. But at the same time, you have an understanding of price behavior and where things are headed, okay? So let's say, for example, that we want to set our profit target and stop loss. I'm going to work on that right now. I'm going to add 2 slices because I'm going to try to move those 2 lines. In fact, you can click and drag the line, and I'm going to position it at break even or close to break even. It doesn't have to be exact. And it's going to be break even on Tuesday. Notice that, yeah, you can do the break even at expiration, but you're not holding it until expiration. So you have to choose what the break even point is, but you can see that by the line, it's crossing 0. And I can move the other one, let's say, close to where the line or the green line crosses 0, and then I get my prices. I'm going to round this. So I'm going to say 173. So I'm going to drop that to 173. I can use even numbers if I want to. And here I'm going to do 186. Okay, so that's a little bit beyond what the break-even point is. So maybe a little bit of a loss. But now I have my 2 levels, 180 and 186. How do I set those 2 prices as exits on my iron condor? All I need to do right here, you can do it from this place. You can do right click on the iron condor and you can say close this position. You can also do it from the manage tab. If you're on the manage tab and you're looking at the iron condor from here, you can right click and do the same thing. Close this position. If I go there, it'll automatically populate the legs into my trade bars. And it's a convenient because those are the specific legs of that position. These are the ones that are expiring in September. Now, I'm not really sure what the price of the spread is going to be when NVIDIA goes to 180 or 186. Not really sure what that's going to be. I probably can do the calculations backward and try to figure that out. But in this case, I'm going to set my order to market. I'm going to go to activation rule. You can do that in your OptionStation Pro. And I can set my boundaries. And I can say, check the price of NVIDIA. And I'm going to add it. If the price goes below 180, then that's my activation. It activates the market order. I'm going to add another one. If NVIDIA goes beyond 186, then I also want to get out. One thing that you cannot forget is to change the operator here on the right-hand side. Because if you leave it on and, the price of NVIDIA cannot be below 180 and above 186 at the same time. So this condition would never become true. So you do have to make sure that you go in there and change this to an or condition so that either price gets hit, then you have a closing transaction on your spread. I'm going to click OK to this, and then all you need to do is place the order. The limit was entered as a debit. This is negative. Do you wish to continue? Yes. Price, yes. And then yes.
Order filled.
Did I do the activations wrong? Probably did. My Iron Condor was exited. Let's see what I did wrong. I probably did the conditions wrong. Okay, let's look at the conditions here. Oh, I know what happened. I did less than 180. Let me go back here to my analysis. Yes, NVIDIA is trading below 180. That's why it got filled automatically. It's trading at 177. But in my analysis, I don't have my spread anymore. But when I moved the lines, one of the lines fell on 180, I think. 180. That's where the line was. But it was a little beyond of what the current price was. So some of the things that you have to be careful of, but that would be a way for you to set up these two conditions so that the spread would be closed if the underlying were to hit any of those prices. This is a little bit of advanced functionality in OptionStation Pro, but it's a platform that has a lot of functionality that once you get a good grasp of, it does help you place your trades and have a good understanding of where the prices of any positions are headed. Okay. I think that is my presentation for today. So just to recap, options is where the option chains are. You can do multiple selections by holding down the control key. Just try that on your OptionStation Pro. Make sure that you're using the trading simulator, because that way you're not risking your capital. Everything is happening on a test environment. So make sure that when you log in, you choose simulated trading so that you can practice and learn the platform without using real money. But yeah, holding control key allows you to do multiple selections inside of OptionStation Pro. So make sure you try that just to get familiar with it. In the analysis tab, remember that you can analyze positions or simulations. You can combine positions into the same graph. That's something that it's useful sometimes. The manage just gives you a view of open orders or anything, any type of order, not only open orders. You also see the ones that are filled, canceled, and rejected. And over here at the bottom, of course, you get a view of all your open positions. Okay. I don't see any questions here, so I'm going to assume that the information was clear. If you do have any questions, let me go ahead and share my email address or our team's email address so that if you have any questions, you can send them through. It's education@tradestation.com. Thank you so much for your time. Please remember the masterclass in-person event. And also, if you want to see what other sessions are upcoming, meaning a webinar, make sure you visit our events page. It has all the events listed there. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.